Okay, so you're here because you just seen part one, and now you're going to see part two immediately. Hope you guys take something away from this. Some of the discussions that I talk about are not read anywhere. These are my experiences. It's not to say that you or someone you know will not go through this. They just may. Thank you. Have a great night. You know, that's a challenge. To us, the changes are very subtle, but to people who haven't seen you in a long time, they catch you on the street. They're gonna do a double take. If you have a supportive family and they're supporting you all the way, and you begin your hormone, then guess what? The changes for them are very subtle. They may not see any because they see you all the time. But their friends who have not seen you in 5 or 10 or 15 years, they'd be very shocking. So that's the physiological changes which can be permanent if you fully transition. The other thing is, when you're going through a lot of negativity during your transition, you can encounter depression. And depression without the proper attention from psychotherapists is no good, because teenager suicide is up already by itself. Can you imagine a trans teens? Almost 40%. Yeah. So the possibility of weight gain during your transition is very, very possible. So if you're a little bit on the heavy side, I would plan on dieting, but you don't want to diet too much. Dieting too much exposes male features. Okay. In some instances, you want to keep some fat because it's the fatties that are affected by the estrogen. Okay. They're deposited differently. They're redeposited as you gain weight again. In your arms, your hair, your shoulders change. Your muscle atrophies a lot because you're using testosterone blockers. So your muscles atrophy. The other thing that's mental is isolation. You may feel isolated if you feel neglected and you feel like you're pushed aside or brushed off by your family and they don't want to have nothing to do with you. You've lost your friends, your job's on the line, your children don't want to see you. You feel left out. The only time that you get any real interaction is when you attend monthly support groups. That's why that's important. So isolation is bad. This is why it's so important that you have support from your families, but not all families will support you. Stick with those that do. And then once you've transitioned, you still have hurdles, because when you transition, it may be that in your family you still look like the person you did before forever, because those that support you, you tend to be around them quite often, and the changes them are so subtle. Except if you have facial feminization surgeries, which make a big difference, like night and day. And basically, that is, they're just polishing those male feature bones, the cheekbones and the brow bossing, and reshaping and contouring your forehead and your chin, shaving down the Adam's apple, a nose job, lip lift, eye lift, okay? Hairline, if you have a recessed hairline, they may want to pull your scalp forward. So all this is what contributes to a more feminine appearance. And yet, even if you have all of these, we're still fighting what I call, my own term, it's the physical aura. The physical male aura is what we give out in vibrations because we're late onset transsexuals. The maleness aura is very difficult to get away. And the only tip I have for you is this. Don't get into heavy conversations about something that you have a lot of knowledge about. Why? Because in the process of having this lengthy conversation, especially with another male, with a male or a woman, doesn't matter, but pretty much a male, is about a subject that pertains only to men. Because you can easily lose yourself in the conversation and unknowingly give yourself away. Keep the conversation light and fluffy and fun, because that's the way women are. Women don't get deep into conversations, the nitty-gritty. Okay, it's too blueprinted. The other thing, that's one of the things that causes it difficult to make new friends. You get too heavy into conversation, knowledge-based areas that pertain to men, that somehow you're thinking, how does she get this information? And in the process, I see some maleness. Yeah. The reason why we have so many challenges also, and we don't make as many friends, is because trans people in a whole were not concentrated in large volumes in one state or one city. We're spread out throughout the country throughout the states and cities. So when you break it down in one state and you look at different cities within one state, it's very sparse. When you look at trans people as a whole in the whole country, we're millions. But we're not concentrated like cisgender people or gay people. So it's rare for you to bump into a trans person. And many times it's those trans people that need other trans people for support because we share a commonality. Okay. So a little while ago I talked about how some trans people would rather have a cisgender friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend that's cisgender, because dating a cisgender person, a cisgender, I mean somebody whose birth was and is their birth, their gender, their correct gender. If they were born girl, then they're a woman. If they're born boy, then they're a man, or whatever. Is the reason why they rather date cisgender people is because it attributes to them blending in. To me, I think it's a bad idea. Okay? And I speak of experience because I try dating trans people and we end up butting heads because we get too stuck on issues and deep conversations because of our past life knowledge that we should actually leave in the past life. If you were a car enthusiast in your past life as a male, you have some tough choices. You could continue to like those men's sports or those men hobbies, but let it be known, you're going to be forced to live yourself as an outed person. If you're okay with it, that's fine. Okay? But what that does is it limits you to long-term relationships because everybody will know who you are. Okay? You can live yourself and present yourself as a woman and find maybe new hobbies. You might gravitate to those hobbies that some women gravitate to. Okay, that will help your transition and be who you are or who you're seen through the eyes of society. Okay, there have been very successful trans people who lived stealth for a very long time. And the only reason why they're outed was because they outed themselves purposefully. For many reasons. It could be to support the trans community or the LGBT community. It could be mostly for a good cause that they give up their stealthy private life. The other thing that we trans have to do for the rest of our lives is our semi-annual checkup. Boy, that's an important one because we wouldn't be healthy if we didn't. We wouldn't be healthy mentally. We wouldn't be healthy physically. Those semi-annual checkups of our liver, our enzymes, our lipids, our hormone levels are important because they balance out your body. And that means that you have to have a solid job, solid income, with solid health insurance. So you may want to look for a state that's more trans-friendly, where you can get the health care you need. Even though you're continuing on with your health checkup every 6 months, semi-annually, long-term, these drug effects are not good. So you may want to possibly give yourself a break from the hormones, take maybe a couple of months off or maybe 6 months off. But prepare for it because you're going to go through some severe body changes. And if you've had your bottom surgery, then you're going to get some massive hot flashes. You can continue, and you don't have to continue to take the spironolactone if you had your bottom surgery. Spironolactone was designed to ward off testosterone, decrease it, or eliminate it until you could have the surgery. Spironolactone should not be used permanently. It should not be used permanently. Only until you can afford to have the bottom surgery, then stop using it. It's a very, very strong drug. Side effects are bad. The pros of coming out and being who you are. This is my favorite side. Being my true self, there's nothing in the world like it. I have never felt so much peace in my life and tranquility like I did after I came out to my family, even though they were in chaos because of my new revelation. Even though I lost a lot of friends, I still had peace in my life. I was happy to be me. Nothing else mattered. Nothing that I mentioned in the cons section mattered. Okay? The inner peace is unexplainable. Being self-realized puts you in a situation in life which is positive. You're aligning all your careers now, and because you don't have no more conundrum in your head, you can focus 150% on what it is you want to do, where you want to go, what kind of friends you want to have. Okay? You have more concentration. Your mind isn't fleeing. You're not in a war with your body. Okay? So you've actually strengthened yourself because you've already did the toughest thing. The toughest thing was coming out to yourself, not even to your family. Coming out to yourself, that moment where you crashed down on your knees and cried and say, oh my God, this is who I am. After researching for a long time as a late onset transsexual, children don't have that problem. None of the problems that late onset transsexuals have. They may face bullying from kids their age, from their peers, but they have a higher rate of success. Coming out to yourself, you discover true purpose, happiness. Self-realization is more accurate. Your focus is improved. And you don't feel like you're deceiving yourself, and you don't feel like you're deceiving others anymore, because you laid it out on the table and you've told everybody, this is who I am. Love me or don't love me, this is what I'm going to do, and this is where I'm going to go. This is my new name. You have a clear thinking. Your relationship as a trans person is more real, because if you're in a relationship for who you are, and not who you pretend to be, your relationship will last longer. And you know that the person you're with accepts you for you, and they love you for you, nothing else. And the same thing goes for those family members and children that accept you and want to be with you. They love you for you if they have always supported you. And if they don't, sometimes they do in the future when they've come to understand. But that's not guaranteed. The one thing that I also realized when I came out, and also especially after I fully transitioned, and was that I am more spiritual. I am more connected with my spiritual side, which is our real side. Let me tell you that as a spirit, we have no gender. We are never nor male or female. The spirit is genderless. Only when we have this body, this material body, that we feel a discomfort, that we can feel a disconnect, okay, because we received the wrong body. Could be that our past lives, in a reincarnation life, we were more happier as a male or as a woman, okay? You could have lived consecutive female lives or male lives, and in your next rebirth as a human being, you were dealt the wrong hand. And now you're at odds with that body, so you need to change it. It's that simple. That simple. But know that little space between lives, that room where you're transitioning from a material body to a spiritual body in the spiritual realm, when you're in a spiritual realm, there is no gender. We're genderless. Souls have no purpose for female or male. Souls cannot reproduce. And that's what the body was created for, in this planet, to reproduce and to become adults and to progress as a human being. We're spirits with a human experience. But our true selves, our true spirit is genderless. Know that. So therefore, our spiritual side is enhanced. An example is, everything I'm talking to you, I didn't read in a book. I didn't take it from anybody else's experience, but my own experience. And these experiences you'll go to form for your own. You'll see for yourself. You'll have your own experiences, which one day you will relate as I am now. The other thing, too, that we learn to do is we learn to be outstanding body readers or facial readers. We read body expressions of other people and we read facial expressions much more easier than most cisgender people. It's almost like it's almost as if we can read their minds and we can read what they're thinking almost. Not quite, but we know very quickly within a split second whether somebody is gravitating to us or not. We can tell when there are dangers around us from someone that wants to harm us or not. I want to cut it right here because I'm at my 30-minute level. I hope you guys have gained a lot from this video, and I would like to continue at some point. For now, you guys have a great night. So that's our subject regarding coming out, the pros and the cons. I could go on forever on these subjects. I've transitioned now 20 years, and I've experienced a lot of things in different areas of life, different scenarios, different places, different work situations, family situations, you name it, whether they're legal or whatever. If you guys would like to hear more on this subject, the pros and cons, whether it has to do with HRT use or how to handle family issues, work situations, things that can come arise just from work atmospheres and the people that you work with. Let me know. Leave me a comment on what aspect of transitioning and the effects it has on society, and in turn how that affects you. And then I'll discuss it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode on the pros and cons of coming out. And tell me what you think. Do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros? We're all different. Okay, so love who you are, embrace your changes, and take it one day at a time. So, talk to you guys soon.